In the golden age of Athens, one name shone brighter, promised more, and ultimately fell further than any other: Alcibiades. Blessed by the gods with staggering beauty, a razor-sharp mind, and charisma that could sway the masses, he was the city's darling, the living embodiment of its limitless potential. He walked the agora not as a man, but as a phenomenon, his every word debated, his every action imitated. He was a student of Socrates, a friend to playwrights, and a commander destined for glory. The city saw in him its own reflection, brilliant, ambitious, and perhaps dangerously arrogant. His ambition found its grandest stage in the Peloponnesian War, the titanic struggle between Athens and Sparta. Alcibiades, with soaring rhetoric, championed the Sicilian expedition, a military gamble of breathtaking scale. He painted visions of a Western empire, of endless grain and treasure that would starve Sparta into submission. Athens, drunk on his confidence, gave him a fleet, an army, a nation's trust. It was to be his masterpiece. But on the eve of its launch, a shadow fell. The sacred statues of Hermes throughout the city were mutilated, a sacrilege of the highest order. Rumors, dark and venomous, swirled around Alcibiades and his elite circle. Was it a drunken prank or a sinister omen? His enemies, long jealous of his influence, saw their chance. They didn't dare arrest him before the fleet sailed. His popularity was too great. Instead, they waited. As he sailed towards glory in Sicily, a summons was dispatched. He was to return to Athens to stand trial for impiety, a charge that carried the penalty of death. Facing the certainty of a political show trial, Alcibiades made a choice that would alter the course of history. He fled, but he did not simply vanish into exile. He went to Sparta. The golden son of Athens walked into the heart of his enemy's territory and offered them the one thing they lacked: his genius. He laid bare Athens' every secret, every strategy, every weakness. He advised them to fortify a base in Athenian territory and to send a master general to Sicily. His betrayal was as total as it was brilliant. The Sicilian expedition, his own brainchild, was annihilated. Athens' navy was shattered, its army lost. The war turned decisively in Sparta's favor, all thanks to the man Athens had once adored. Yet, Alcibiades' nature was a restless sea. His arrogance and affairs soon wore out his welcome in austere Sparta. Once again he fled, this time east to the opulent court of the Persian Empire, Sparta's paymaster. There he played a new game, advising the Persians to bleed both Athens and Sparta dry, to keep the Greeks fighting each other until they were weak enough for Persia to dominate. He was no longer Athenian nor Spartan. He was a force of pure, self-serving intellect. But the pull of home is a powerful tide. As the war dragged on, a faction in the Athenian navy, desperate for a leader who could deliver victory, recalled him. And for a time, the magic returned. Alcibiades, leading Athenian fleets, won a string of stunning victories. He returned to the city he had betrayed, not as a criminal, but as a conquering hero. The crowds that once called for his death now wept with joy, showering him with garlands. They made him general with supreme authority. It was the ultimate redemption. But it was a fragile peace. A minor defeat caused by a subordinate acting against his orders was all his enemies needed. The city's trust, once broken, was never truly repaired. The suspicion returned, and with it, the fear. For the final time, Alcibiades went into exile, retiring to a remote castle in Thrace. It was there that his enemies, a coalition of Spartans and fearful Athenians, finally cornered him. They dared not face him in open combat. Instead, they sent assassins who set his house ablaze in the dead of night. He awoke to a world of fire and shadows. Wrapping his cloak around his arm, dagger in hand, he charged out to meet his fate. He fell, not in a grand battle, but in a lonely, desperate fight, riddled with arrows. So ended the man who was Athens' greatest hope and its most devastating traitor, a paradox of brilliance and betrayal, whose life serves as a timeless warning about the dizzying heights of ambition and the terrible, tragic cost of its fall. Subscribe.